States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Adita, can you please call the roll?
Marianne Meaden,
Here.
Marion Quinn. Here. Brian Arnold,
Here.
Jennifer Boy,
Here.
Jeff Haight,
Here.
Sophia Bonet Hollis.
Here.
Donald Logan, Eileen Snook.
And for the record, I'm just going to add that Mia Newsom is also with us today here. We're very welcome. We'll welcome you in a minute officially, but I just wanted to put you on the roll call. Thank you. Reading of the district mission. Our mission is to empower all students to be self-directed, lifelong learners who willingly contribute to their community and lead passionate, purposeful lives. As we move to get an approval of tonight's agenda, I'm going to propose an amendment to the agenda. Under item B, new business, which currently reads board policy first reading. I'd like to change that to policy adoption and change the resolution language to read the following. Be it resolved that pursuant to the provisions of policy 1410, the board hereby waives the requirement for a second reading preceding the adoption of the following policy and hereby approves the adoption of said policy upon a first reading at this meeting. The policy we're talking about is policy number 7316, use of internet-enabled devices during the school day. Can I please get a motion to amend the agenda as I just described?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm hearing a lot of chatter about Gizmo. What is Gizmo? It's like kindergartners use it? Yep.
I don't know. I have one, Gabby has one actually. It's a digital watch that you can call from as well, but you can't go on the internet, but you can call.
So are they allowed to keep it on?
I do not know.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with that technology, so
I was just wondering.
I think I think we're gonna learn a lot along the way here. Technically, there shouldn't be calls made while through any technology, but that would be a violation of the code of conduct. However, our policy here, and I know we're not at the point where we're discussing the policy yet, correct? You're just modifying the agenda.
Correct.
So I excuse me if I'm jumping ahead because
Because I said discussion.
Oh, okay. I think we're learning along the way. There's some technologies here that maybe stand outside the scope of the current language because we've listed everything as internet-enabled device. So we very well may have to revisit this policy a couple of times throughout the year as well as
Right.
what else is out there.
So I will defer to Linda then. Let's talk about this because as the policy, no, but as the policy chair, I think kind of maybe what you're getting at
Absolutely.
is do we want the 2 weeks to talk about it again or are we, so basically the change that we're enacting today is a very small change that's reflecting changes that came late from the state ed department. So we had approved, we'd already gone through a first and second reading of this policy earlier in the summer, but because of the changes, we're making just a tweak to it. And because it's so relevant for right now, we thought we would just get it through. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have to do it again
Mhm.
and again
Yeah.
and again.
Right.
So Jen, yes.
I guess some of the chatter that I was hearing was that the watches that don't access the internet that make calls, when you go on the website and it's the questions and facts about it, that says that they're not allowed, but then it's not within the policy. I said, so the
Right.
chatter I was hearing was that it was confusing to parents.
So can I offer something? Can we, are you comfortable with kind of an iterative
absolutely.
process of this? So we'll do this so that we're in compliance with the state.
It was just a question.
And, no, it's a good question. And then, we can all think back to when we went 1,000 times over our public comment policy. It'll be something like that, where you'll all be sick to death of it by the time we're finished.
Yeah.
So, you remember that?
I do, and I was just gonna say, in our family,
Yes.
we read the new gizmo that was just purchased 2 weeks ago.
For a
The
birthday, for a very special birthday, yes.
is staying home. It's
Mhm.
for on the weekends when you go to your friend's house, or it's things like that. So I think each
Right.
family is
Family.
gonna have a different thought on how it all works, so we should probably figure it out over time.
Right.
I don't have a problem with your
right?
suggestions here.
Yeah, and so today, it's a modest change that just puts us in, but I think if there's, more consultation needed with elementary teachers or principals or whatever, we can go there as time moves
Yeah,
on.
and I think we were prepared to speak to it when actually came time
Okay.
to speak about the policy, but I
Yeah.
will now that John will continue, as he has all along, pull back our groups that were working on this to check in, see how it's going, and also to see if there's any recommended changes to the policy that need to be made as we learn more about perhaps the technologies that
Right.
kids have access to, or those that become available along the way.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask for at the moment is a vote that reflects, I didn't cut anybody off, right? Did anybody else? I'd like a vote that says that you are willing to waive second reading on the policy as presented tonight. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Now I need a second motion to approve the agenda as amended. Can I please get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence they'd like to share tonight? Seeing none. Board President's remarks. Well, that's me. I want to start by welcoming Mia. Mia Newsom is our ex officio student board member. We are very excited to have her here. And she went through a process to apply for this position. We also have an alternate student. Her name is Shantane Woodnett, and we're happy to welcome her into our little board family as time goes on. But this year, Mia is our main person. And we're going to be happy to hear from her at all these meetings. Welcome. Very happy to have you. It's a very interesting, it's kind of a mandate that everyone has one of these, but many places, many of us went to a leadership conference this summer, and many school districts have already had a role like this, and we saw some students who have been in this role for several years present. And it's very interesting, and I'm also looking to Mia to help us evolve it for us. Like, what makes the most sense here? What makes the most sense for us? What are we looking for feedback? Because we're all new to this, right? And just for our viewers, Mia joins us here at this table, but she doesn't join us in executive session where we would talk about anything related to specific students or personnel. So she's really here to give us the student voice on the things we're listening to and voting on as we move forward. So we're excited to have her. I want to just welcome everybody back, a warm welcome to our students and staff, and thank you to everyone who did such a great job opening up the school year. It is a new time of new beginnings. To that extent, as we're talking about this, I was going to say something about the cell phone policy, but my God, we've already talked about it for 10 minutes, so we know that that's going to be a theme of the year. But hopefully not. I've actually been very encouraged at the reflections from Dr. Benante over the first few days. And from some things we heard from other districts that did sort of a quasi-implementation last year through Dutchess County School Boards. So I'm encouraged that students will actually find it rewarding, and the staff will really find it rewarding. That's the hope, of course. I'd really like to give a thank you and a shout out to our two largest unions, our teachers union, the ATA, and our teaching assistants union, the ATAA, for overwhelmingly ratifying their labor agreements yesterday. Fair labor agreements are foundational to building trust and continuity in our Arlington family. And on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the leadership of both unions and our administration for their willingness to work together to produce agreements satisfactory to all sides. And finally, on a lighter note, I want to highlight that today in the mail, I received my Arlington Continuing Education little flyer, and I have actually availed myself of things in this, and really they do a lovely job of putting together a very wide array of things for different interests. So I encourage you to look in your mailbox and see if you've gotten it and see if there's some little thing you'd like to sign up for. That's all that I have for now. Dr. Bronte.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I'd like to welcome everybody. Welcome, Mia. I know we've had many welcomes this evening, and we'll soon turn it over to you for comment. But I did want to start. We had a wonderful open meeting with our staff just last week. Gosh, it seems like weeks ago, but it was just last week. And it was a real pleasure to greet 1,200 or so of our staff members on opening day, thanks to the board members who were able to be present. I apologize for any of the Mets fans who were in the audience, because I know I took a little ribbing at the Mets during my comments, but kidding aside, I really did try to underscore, as the board's aware, that we are in this period of transition as a school district, and that the importance of stewardship, and that we're all responsible to be good stewards of the district's resources, the district's reputation, and ensuring that the things that we've come to really appreciate about the district's culture continue as maybe some of us move on to the next phase of our careers, and the next generation of Arlington's teachers and staff come to join us. To that note, I invited 3 staff members, for those of you who weren't there or weren't able to make it, to join us, and just include a little bit about who influenced them when they were coming into their careers, who were those people, and what did they learn from them, and what is their hope for the next generation of Arlington's educators. And I want to thank Bob Meyer, who happens to be in attendance this evening, Claudine Kerr, principal at Vale Farm, and Steve Ciencio, physical education teacher at Overlook Primary, all of whom have served the district for 30 years or more. I was really encouraged by what they shared and had to offer to our staff. And I know our staff was as well, because I heard a lot of positive comments thereafter. It's been a really great start to the school year. It's always a little tricky with the caveat of transportation. The first few days, we're working out a lot of kinks with transportation. All that being said, we transport thousands of kids, and even those concerns have been fairly minimal. I've had the chance to visit all of our schools, as I know members of our team as well have as well, and probably focused most on the high school, just out of curiosity for how the cell phone policy was going to be implemented. And I have to say, Mr. Murphy and his staff, not just with the cell phone policy, but on all elements of the high school operation, really are off to a great start there. And I don't want to step on Mia's toes, because I think she's going to talk a little bit about what it's been like with the new cell phone policy at the high school. But all in all, a really positive start to the school year, a very exciting start to the school year. And that concludes my remarks. And if I can, I'll transition to Mia at this point.
Sure.
Go ahead, Mia. How's it been going?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I really appreciate it, and I'm beyond excited to be here. I just wanted to talk a bit about the cell phone policy and how some of my peers and students in student government have been feeling about it. Overall, surprisingly, I've gotten really positive feedback about it. I think everyone was very nervous for it and what it would be like, myself included. But I think everyone's realized that it really makes kids socialize with each other more, which we've been lacking for the past few years. You don't bump into people in the hallway anymore while scrolling on your phone. You actually have to interact with people now. You can't just avoid them by being on your phone. And overall, I just feel like in the past few days, it's made the school a more positive and welcoming environment already, which is great for our incoming class of 2029. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Mia. I don't know, we don't have any protocols yet around your talking, but like, I don't know if anyone would like to, ask Mia anything, or if there's any questions at this time, or we can do that later. I see your microphone popped on.
Yes.
Yeah, Sophia.
What about the ones who, or the minority who are having a problem with the policy? If you have heard, what are the things that they are struggling with?
So I think most students having a problem with it have really said that it's in the lunchroom, that they're upset that they can't use their devices there, because as we're aware, not everyone has like friends to sit with at lunch or people to talk to, so they would use their devices instead. But I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because I think it gives people an opportunity to be thrown out there and forced to make friends with people, which I think is a great skill. So, yeah.
We had, are they doing anything with like games or having things out? Is that a silly thing to say? Doesn't everybody love
I
a,
would say
deck
not
of
yet, but I
cards?
think the idea of games has been presented.
yeah,
And the high school's considering that at some point, or some derivation thereof. But as of right now, I wouldn't say there's any games. My observation is there's no games being played. A lot of socialization. The cafeteria is definitely louder than I recall it being in the past, but it's right now I'd say that's a good thing.
Okay, great. Let's see, public comment for agenda items only. Francesca, do we have anybody for public comment tonight?
There are no, to my knowledge, there are no public comments for items on the agenda. However, I know we have,
We had a couple
Who
people
knew?
that walk in. I'm sorry, would you have any interest in speaking in public comment tonight at all? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, then I'm going to move on to reports and discussions. The board workshop topics draft schedule.
So if I can.
You certainly may.
I just wanted to share with the board that Fran and I are beginning to shape out the board discussion items for the year that we anticipate. I would just draw to the board's attention that on September 16th, which is our next committee of the whole meeting, Mr. Orchid will provide a New York State assessment result presentation. That's something that we do each fall and that we're planning to do at our next committee of the whole meeting. I only have one Tetra Tech, and it should really be Tetra Tech / Palumbo meeting with the board. But as we further develop the capital project work, I would anticipate that the board would like to have routine updates from Palumbo and from Tetra Tech, similar to what we did last school year. I have one scheduled for October 21st, but over the course of the year, we'll probably schedule 2 or 3 more of those to occur, whether they be at committee of the whole meetings or at full board meetings. I think we balanced that last year. We had at least one that was at a regular board meeting. So they're not on the schedule yet, but they will. I also included at a committee of the whole meeting on December 16th, a special education and pupil personnel programming report that'll be provided by Dr. Cation. We just want to give Dr. Kate, this was the request of the board to have this presentation separate from the budget, because typically we provide a special education overview as attached to the budget, which occurs usually in February. We're pulling this outside of budget development. And I think by that time, just in working with Dr. Cation and talking to her, she's already forming some impressions of the relative strengths of the program, also areas that maybe need to be further developed. I think by December, she'll have a pretty thorough review that she's facilitated, and we'll be in a good position to have a thorough discussion with the board on that topic. What's not included in here that I just want to remind the board, and we'll continue to build this out, the budget development calendar. So you know that you're going to have a series of reports as we get into budget development, really starting in late December all the way through the spring. I have not included the process for the superintendent evaluation. There's a couple of touch points along the way that the board has with me or without me along the way that include that. And then there's other reports that, are somewhat standard that we provide over the course of the school year that the administration really feels is important, that are more timely in nature, just to make sure that the board is aware of. So this is the beginning of that, and I just wanted to be sure that you saw it before we get too much further into the development of it. And I would expect to have the next iteration available to you on the 30th with some of the other items articulated on it. But things are shaping up for the fall already. One I forgot to mention was just as a follow-up, on September 30th, the food insecurity follow-up with Mark Hicks, the Director of Food Services, will be on September 30th. I'm sorry, I didn't call that out. That's also listed already on our discussion items for the year.
Okay, so it's not intended to be complete at this point, but it's a nice way to reassure us that we've been heard and that the things we want to hear about are coming up on a scheduled basis. Are there any comments that anybody would like to make at this time related to this document? You can continue to give feedback on this document, throughout the year. I mean, what we're scheduling, and that'll come up through our discussions and things we talk about. All right then. Moving on, draft goals for the
district.
Goals draft, sorry. Say that 3 times fast. Okay.
I also included for the board a draft of the district goals for this school year. This is a draft, so it's not on for action this evening, but I would like to have the goals well articulated, certainly by the 30th. So if there's any feedback we can discuss tonight, that's fine. But I think what's most important is if you have feedback between now and the 30th, if you're able to provide that to me. And I'd look to have a second draft potentially for adoption after further discussion with Mary Ann for agenda prep at the meeting on September 30th. So just to speak broadly to them, for anybody who may be listening at home, I know they're attached. Our first goal is related to student achievement and establishing a 5-year target of 80% proficiency in ELA and mathematics in grades K through 8. The second goal is related to having a support plan and working with our teachers to develop a support plan that accounts for successful transition to Arlington and establishes a plan for ensuring instructional excellence. This is related to, again, the anticipation that we're going to have a significant turnover in staff over the next 5 years, and that we need to make sure that we have a thorough plan in place for the new teachers who are going to join our ranks through that period of time. The third goal is related to the continued planning of the 2024 capital projects that were approved by voters. The fourth is related to a long-term staffing plan that's inclusive of teachers, but also administrators and other important areas, CSEA, TAs, other areas, and making sure that we, again, have a thorough plan in place for those individuals. And then the last, and I realize the fifth goal may need a further articulation, we are stepping back as a team and just examining the academic, social, and emotional supports that we have in place currently for our kids, with the thought that we probably have to reevaluate certain areas of our program. There's programs we've adopted over the years. We may want to review those programs, have to make decisions related to whether we're going to continue those or not, or bring in new programs for our kids. So at some point along the way through this year, specifically in the area of our kids' academic, social, and emotional experience, we want to evaluate how we're doing and whether the programs that we're providing to our kids are sufficient or whether they need to be further reviewed and again, perhaps abandoned or new iterations of those programs implemented. So we're at a point where I think we need to do that, just given the scope of programming that we've adopted over the last 5 years.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm open to have a little discussion about these right now. Would anyone like to say anything? Jen?
I just had some feedback on the first goal.
Sure.
More just a wondering, with the 5-year plan, sometimes it's kind of hard to gauge how much progress you're actually making towards that goal. And I just wonder if a shorter span would be.
Sure. What we've gotten in the habit of doing, and I would encourage us to continue to, is each July, we provide a report, usually during the board retreat, of how we see our students doing, specifically in ELA and mathematics. There's other areas that we provide you with information on. And I would propose that we continue to provide you with that annual report as part of the retreat, so you can see how we're making progress, but using this as a benchmark now, which in the past we've told you, well, here's how we're doing, but we really haven't related that to anything, any goal, if you will, other than we just want to do the best we can for our kids. So we're in a position where we can provide at least our local assessment data. iReady would be an example of that, for how we're doing on that assessment in July. The state assessment, we're usually not in a position to provide that information to the board in July because we don't receive the results until usually August. Thus, John presenting them in September, because that's usually the first opportunity that we have to go through state assessment results with the full board. Both are important measures and should be considered for this. So I think part of the conversation will occur in July as an annual update. The other part will occur in September as the second part of that, because I think the state assessment results are important to consider as it relates to these. And then we'll have your feedback along the way, obviously. And if we need to tweak or modify that, we'll certainly do so based on the board's feedback.
Donna?
So you're saying September and July. I guess I was thinking, this is number one goal. It's super exciting. I mean, but a big challenge. And we had sort of talked earlier at the retreat that, this was not going to be a top-down process. It was going to be
Right,
really to be an organic process.
right.
So I guess, I don't know, I just was kind of excited to find out before July, just like, what are we doing? I mean, I
Oh,
don't
sure,
need to see
sure.
like test scores, but like, what are we doing? What progress has been made in the communication and the development of like, yeah, like, what are we doing? How's it going? You know?
Sure, absolutely. That's fair. And I think what would fit nicely, I usually use these goals as a basis of discussion in my mid-year review. So, which usually is in December. And that, I think, would be a good opportunity to share with you some of the work that's going on across our elementary and middle school level specifically, because the goal is a K-8 goal that relates to this work. And if you think that's an update that's soon enough or more timely, as our building principals are just kind of getting back with their leadership teams and shaping out what this work looks like for their respective buildings, I can collect that information and share a summary with the board as part of my mid-year review. That seems like that would be good timing, and it's usually the basis of what that mid-year review is around, the district goals in some way. So if that works for the board, then that's how I'll approach it. We don't need to make that decision tonight, but that's how I would suggest approaching it if it works for the board.
Any follow-up?
No, that sounds good. I had a comment on number 5. And we get down to there.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, I see that that was the same goal as last year.
Yeah.
And I was kind of new board member. I mean, it all was just, wow, a lot. But now I'm thinking, it just seemed, the wording just seems so broad as to be almost undoable. So I just, I don't know, just, I guess I'd like to understand that a little bit more. And then just other thing associated with that is maybe it's part of that is, students' growth is very tied to their families and, being in school. And we had talked also at the retreat about, trying to engage our families more, have them feel part of the school community more. Various ways of doing that. And, that would also maybe encourage attendance, are there attendance improving? And just, I don't know, I guess there were a couple of specific things I remembered from our discussions with your review. And I was trying to look through the evaluation and try to pull things up. It's hard, there's a lot of things. So but there were a couple of things that I really stuck that we had a lot of discussion about that, anyway, there were some thoughts.
Yeah, you were right about, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
About the family engagement piece. And I, again, in trying to respect maybe a more organic nature to how we're going to make progress, just to provide some rationale. But I appreciate the feedback because we may need to call it out more specifically. Progress towards that 80% proficiency. I think some of our schools are stepping back and realizing, given where they are now, that they need to reevaluate their approach to family engagement. And I appreciate that, and that might be the work that's best for them at this particular moment in time, whereas others are coordinating work around how they provide intervention to kids who are behind, and that may be what's most important to them right now. And my commitment to them has been to allow them to kind of chart the course in the way that they feel will be most impactful or what's most relevant right now at their particular school. So embedded in that first goal, I was kind of envisioning that there is family engagement work that will occur. It may not be across all, I'll just use 8 of our elementary schools, for example. 1 or 2 may prioritize that right now, whereas another 2 may prioritize that next year because they felt that there was something more relevant right now that was important to consider. I think spirit of the 5th goal, and I hear you, it is broad and it probably should be narrowed a bit more. There was one part that was programmatic in that we've adopted a couple of new programs over the years, and I think we're hearing feedback from our staff that academically some of those programs are working really well with our kids, and others they may not be. So that's one part. The second part, though, is that our process for intervention, how we're supporting our kids who aren't making progress towards our goals for them, is likely something that needs to be reevaluated. And so it is broad. Here I am saying at least 2 things that come to mind when I say it. So or when I think of this, I may need to just list them either as separate goals or just focus on one for the school year.
So, yeah, so I guess I'm hearing, but I guess I was reading more general. So you're saying the process, you're thinking about evaluating sort of some programs, specific programs.
Programs and then
Really?
other models, yes, and models of support
Models
that
of
we have in
support.
place for our kids or
Yeah.
don't, that are just missing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Helpful, thanks.
So I'll work with that a little more
Yeah,
and
so-
see how that's a little too broad.
So what I'm guessing from the questions and from people's reaction and that we're supportive of the areas of focus,
Mhm.
right? And I think though, we might, it might be helpful if we had a little more meeting of the minds of what what you're hoping to achieve, not in incredibly specific ways, but in general ways, directionally, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
so that it's fair to you when we get to your mid-year review and the end of your review, that we haven't had a different, we're all starting on the same page of the direction for the year. And I think we're pretty close, but like, and I think you're hearing some of this. I had one little nit on number 2. The goal 2, the district will develop and support a plan for new teachers. And I think maybe we had talked about administrators as well. You have an
Oh,
awful
yeah,
lot of new
sorry.
administrators. And I think that sort of getting everybody on board with the idea of Arlington culture and the Arlington way, if there is such a thing or was such a thing or will be such a thing, that sort of to have people rowing in the same direction, both at the teacher level and at the administrator level. So anybody else have comments about this document right now? Sophia?
In the 5 goals, you mentioned family engagement, and that being an area that we wanted to see more progress or a different, better approach. Where in these 5 goals do you see that particular?
Yeah, so it would have fallen under number 1 as I was conceptualizing it, because I don't think it'll be possible to reach that target without re-envisioning how we're engaging our families. To just circling back to the conversation or exchange Donna and I had, I do think some schools will prioritize that more so this year as compared to others, just given where they each are. I think you will see from John's presentation in a week or so that we kind of have schools that are all over the place in terms of student results right now. So I want to be respectful of the fact that our principals may feel really digging deeply into reevaluating family engagement may be a priority for them this year, whereas others may say next year. And that's something that I'm trying to leave some room for them to determine within the process. But overall, over the next few years, I would envision that all of our buildings at some point are going to have to really re-envision how they're engaging families in order to meet that benchmark.
So it's delegation, you're delegating these
I am.
to the schools and then
Yes.
they assess if there is high priority or low priority. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And it goes to the.
I don't think
You're
I-
not on. You're still not on. It's red, it's not
Oh,
red.
it's not
Maybe
red,
a little
it's not-
light bulb went off up here. Can you hear her?
There you
we
go.
Thank you.
Evan saves the day again.
In the first goal, it's a 5-year goal and it gets us to 80%, right?
Yep.
I just want to say I appreciate that as a goal. I think it's, we see where our kids are and it's easy to want to say, we need to be to 80% tomorrow, but it's not realistic. And so over the 5 years, I would appreciate getting updates where we're going, what progress we're making. But coming from the 100%
Yeah.
of kids will be on reading by 3rd grade, that wasn't a realistic goal.
Mhm.
And so it was one that as a teacher, you could say, well, I'm not going to make that goal anyhow.
Right.
So what I'll appreciate seeing over the next 5 years is seeing how schools, what their target is for that year
Mhm.
within those 5 years and how we're progressing as we go.
Thank you.
Anyone else at this time? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this together.
And yes, I appreciate just your continued reflection. So if thoughts come to mind after the fact and you want to email me, that's appropriate.
Okay. Let's see. That brings us to the new business section of our agenda. Our new business section of the agenda lists several items for individual resolution approval. Documentation concerning these items have been provided to our board members in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. Item B, which has been revised to read, be it resolved that pursuant to the provisions of policy 1410, the board hereby waives the requirement for a second reading preceding the adoption of the following policy and hereby approves the adoption of said policy upon a first reading at this meeting. And the policy we're referring to is policy number 7316, use of internet-enabled devices during the school day. Can I please get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Item C, Arlington Teachers Association Memorandum of Agreement. May I please get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Just want to, I think you already shared some much more eloquent comments than mine will be at the front end of the meeting, but I just want to thank Bob Meyer, who's here, Robert McHugh, who serves as the chief negotiator for the ATA, also Hillary Roberto, who really takes the lead on our behalf in their work together to bring together an agreement that I think is respectful both of the district's financial position and also the ATA's advocacy for some changes, not just in compensation, but working conditions for their membership.
Thank you. Any other discussion at this point? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Yay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, here we are. Item D, I lost my place. I'm sorry. Item D, Arlington Teachers Association, Assistants Association's Memorandum Agreement. May I please get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I think ditto, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was looking ahead on the agenda for a second, but I would also just like to thank Kathleen.
Summed up as ditto.
All right, Kathleen Collins, who serves as the president, and Kathleen had a good team. I couldn't name them all right now that were working on the teaching assistant side. Again, Hillary and Erica Fuller from the district. David Shaw was really helpful through the negotiation as well, our lead counsel, and congratulate the TAs on their settlement as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that point? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you. That brings us to our business consent agenda. Our consent section of the agenda lists several items for approval by a single motion. Documentation concerning these items have been provided to our board members in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. May I please get a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments on the consent agenda? No, seeing none. Is that right? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. All right, here we go. That brings us up to future discussion items. Item 11, I don't have anything carried over from a previous meeting. Does anybody have any future discussions I'd like to propose? Sophia?
I would like to bring a future discussion item about artificial intelligence.
Okay,
I'm coming from a place of curiosity about if we're doing anything today regarding guidelines. If we're not, how are things happening? I would just like to understand. I don't want to propose changes or radical, no. I just want to understand if we're doing anything, and if we are not, if there is a short-term plan, long-term plan, the New York State is going to do something, whatever. So.
okay.
Can I ask a
Go
clarification?
ahead, yes.
Just Sophia, because AI is so broad, are you thinking more so like in the instructional realm or
Yeah,
broadly as an
teachers
organization?
and students,
I think
what are
that's-
the guidelines?
Yep,
Like
got it.
teachers use, student use, what is it, if we have guidelines, if we don't, if we want them,
Got it.
that's it, yeah.
Thank you.
So just a little summary. I love to give a summary of our future discussion items. It's one of my favorites. So any board member is allowed to propose an item for future discussion. And what we do is we don't discuss it tonight, but we will discuss it at our next meeting, not the committee of the whole, our next public meeting in 2 weeks. And at that point, between now and then, I'll talk to Sophia, I'll talk with Dr. Benante, and we will figure out exactly kind of where we're going. And then we'll bring something to the full board, because we try not to task administration with things unnecessarily that we don't all kind of, that some portion of us support, so that we're not, diminishing his ability to do other things by pet projects from the board. So that's our process for that. So we'll look forward to that next time.
Thank you, Marian.
You're welcome. Thank you. Does anybody else have a future discussion item they'd like to bring up tonight? Okay, seeing none, moving on. And we have no public comment for non-agenda items tonight?
There are no public comments for non-agenda items.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to committee reports. Advocacy.
We met this evening prior to this meeting. I'll report out again on the 30th at our next meeting, just to give you a little synopsis of what our overall thoughts are in preparation for the NYSBA business meeting in October. And what I'll actually do too is send you all a little something to read ahead of time, so you have a flavor of what our group think is. And as long as you're supportive on the 30th of that group think, then that will direct my voting when I go to the business meeting. And again, we'll just firm up the idea on the 30th that you would like me to be your voting delegate. And if that is the thought on the 30th, then I will speak with Fran and we'll get me registered as the voting person. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Audit.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, Cappy.
We're going to have our first meeting September 24th, 11 a.m. at Overlook. We're going to get a little bit of a look at the new geothermal system that's there. And we'll report back after that.
Fun. Who doesn't love a field trip? Very nice. Okay, policy.
Our first meeting is Wednesday, October 8th, 3 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much. That moves us on to organization reports. I know many of the organizations haven't gotten rolling yet, but we'll do a quick roll call and see where we are. Arlington Education Foundation, Eileen?
The first meeting is tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, okay. Dutchess County School Boards.
First meeting is October, let's say 6th, whatever the first Thursday of October is.
Okay.
It leaves there has to be one prior to that, right? Second. It's actually the
There's
second.
no school on the second.
Right.
It's the ninth.
But I don't think it's the 9th, actually. I think because it's done via Zoom, I feel like
She may
Kelly
move
left it alone,
She may move it.
but
Yeah.
yeah. I'll get back to you guys on, it's the sooner the 9th.
So it's like a cliffhanger,
It
right?
is, like, I don't know how we'll,
I don't know how you're gonna
Stand
make
the
it for 2
suspense.
weeks to find out when the Dutchess County School Board is kicking off their year. PTA, PTSA, I think I haven't gotten anything from them yet, so, but I wait eagerly. Health and safety, have we heard when they're scheduling yet? Equity,
First meeting is Thursday.
Thursday, you're working.
I am busy this
Working early this year. We're getting you right to work. Okay. That moves us on to superintendent's closing remarks.
No closing remarks.
No closing remarks. All right, that brings us to board reflections. And I don't know, Mia, if Dr. Benante shared with you, but at the end, we have this thing called board reflections. And we can basically comment, they're generally positive, right? But we, if we, we like to bring our negativity up earlier, but, it's just an opportunity, like if we went to a concert or we went to a school or, anything that we experienced since the prior meeting that we'd like to share, it's our opportunity. So, And I'll just say, I'm open for board reflections if anybody would like to share. Sophia.
Today I drove behind the school bus.
Ah,
And I had to say, after a year on the board, it was a very different experience.
ah,
I noticed if the bus was electric or not electric. I noticed that it was impeccable. The bus was impeccable. It was new or something. The smiles of the parents, the little kids coming down, the rigorous bus driver who, the brother came down and the bus driver like, no, we need an adult. Turn around, get the adult, and it took a little longer and we were waiting, but it's the safety of the kids. I was not born in this country. I was born in a country where school buses don't do all these things about the lights, which I think expresses such respect for children. And you grew up here probably and you take it for granted. It's just such a civic moment of just respecting the space of kids and the safety of kids. So
well, thank
that's
you.
all I wanted to share.
Anybody else? I need to say, I mean, I loved everything about the opening day. I enjoyed the tone that was set and all that, but you kind of forgot the whole thing when they did the Defying Gravity piece. I'm telling you, it just was like so life affirming, you know, a little tear, not gonna lie, a little moving. But thank you for putting all that together. I know it's not a small amount of work. And thank you to Hillary for roasting Phil for year 2. Keep that up, Hillary.
She's getting very good at
Will she never run out of material? That's the great thing.
I know, because he continues to produce more.
There's more. There's other people who conspire with her.
Yeah, we love that.
Group effort, go girl.
Brian,
Also too, who was the young man that sang the national anthem?
Michael, was his name
It
Michael?
was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he was terrific.
Yeah,
I think
Michael-
he's just new in the high school this year.
He's a
Yeah.
freshman. Michael sang the national anthem at the 8th grade LMS Moving Up ceremony last year and did a fantastic job and ran off the stage way too quickly. So we gave him another opportunity and he certainly, he did fantastic. And his mom and his grandma were in the audience, like 20 rows back. And yeah, they just were overjoyed. And I think we all were.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
Very talented.
You know,
Very good.
and the performers in the lobby before the event
Yeah,
began.
Mr. Hammond had a group there.
Yes. I just think, you know, last year there was also students involved, but that's something we haven't had in years before. And it means a lot to me. I think it really creates this tone of, and reminds us all why we're here when we have students in the places that we're meeting as adults. So I thought that was great.
Good. Thank you.
I also attended the open day and I found it very inspiring and I really appreciated Bob's comments. I just thought that was neat. Phil, you commented that you didn't like prep people, like, you know, maybe talk about this, that, the other. So I thought your story was really meaningful. And I was just kind of lifted up the whole day. I really was inspired and I thought it was really kind of a model for leadership of just, you know, helping people see the value of their work. And I like that a lot.
That's a great way to put it. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Well, seeing none, I'll just say that Mia, great job at your first meeting. Thank you for your comments. And can I please get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. No discussion needed. All those in favor? Aye.